just here with Airly. I just want to demonstrate what I think a really basic maintenance trim looks like. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, so it'll be fairly quick, but Airly's got good feet, she's trimmed regularly. Before we pick the foot up, the first thing you should do is very quickly have a look at the horse from the front, have a look at the foot, see if there's anything that you think might need attention. See if the toe is nice and straight, there's no flaring, have a look at how the leg is put together, whether the horse has an offset cannon or it turns it in a little bit at the fetlock. These kind of things you just look at very quickly. Everything is looking reasonably good with Airly. Feet are pretty straight, so we'll have a look from underneath. Okay, so we'll just clean Airly's feet out. We've had a very, very muddy, wet winter, so feet are showing some of the signs of that. They've held up pretty well, which is good. They're pretty healthy feet. Frog here is a little parts of it exfoliated and a little bit thin and wet and waterlogged, you might say, but that will grow back fine in summertime. So really only 3 or 4 things that we're going to do with Airly's foot today. It's very straightforward, very basic maintenance trim. Number one is we're going to trim her foot to the sole plane. We're going to balance her foot to that, etc. And by the sole plane we mean the live sole or healthy hard sole plane. It's very easy to see here on Airly's foot, it's very even. There's no sole here that is going to really exfoliate. It's nice and smooth. In wet conditions, soles often look like this, so we have the natural shape of her foot here, the sole of her foot. We're going to trim the bars and the heels and the hoof wall so that it sits just above this sole. Airly was trimmed 4 weeks ago, so very little to do with her today, we can see. So as I say, bar gets a little trim, bar on the other side gets a little trim. The frog is okay. Frog doesn't need any trimming or attention at the moment, just needs a bit more dry ground and stimulation, you might say. So the heels and hoof wall, trimming down so that they're just above, millimetre or 2 above the sole of her foot. About right. We're just going to check the balance from behind here. A little bit there, a little bit there. We're just going to now blend that last bit of the bar and the heel in together, like that. There we go, it's nicely balanced. So now that we've got this ridge of height here, of hoof wall, I can't explain how important that is to a barefoot horse, to have this height of hoof wall. It's almost like the horse is growing its own horseshoe every day and its own hoof protection, and our job is to kind of preserve that as much as we can, but yet trimming is trimming enough off so that the hoof maintains its condition, stays healthy. It does the job of supporting the horse and providing grip and protection, but yet we trim enough off so that it doesn't flare and crack and get too long and actually become a negative thing for the horse. So there's just a balance between those two things with our trimming. So now that we've taken the height off Airly's foot, just put it down and got it muddy and picked it up again, I want to now roll the hoof wall. So gently from the heels, stronger through the toe, back to the heel here. So by that rolling, it's about a 45-degree angle, and we're going to take off a 1/3 to half the hoof wall to a little bit more at the toe at an angle. So we have this height of the hoof wall sitting above the sole. We can take off this outer edge to 2/3 around through the toe, and sometimes a little more than that. This helps stop alleviating all the chipping. It makes your trim last longer, and it also makes a nice clean break over the hoof wall. And where the toe can sometimes be a little thicker through the front of the foot, it also helps keep break over back, and that's why we often roll the toe a little more at the front, because we want to keep a nice short break over to stop the toe from pulling and stretching away out here. And it's quite okay. The horse often does bear some weight through this portion of sole and the outer edge. We don't want to make that excessive by reducing the height of this hoof wall too much. That's why we need to keep this height. So rolling the hoof wall, nice even roll, about 45-degree angle. As I say, it starts here at the heels and just gently blends through into the toe. More there, and again from this heel forward. Just going to do that with the fine side to smooth it off. So something that's important with this roll I'll show in a sec. Hang on. Just take that little furry edge off. Now we've rolled our hoof wall off here, we've got a nice clean breakover. You can notice there's still dirt sitting here inside my finger. Inside my finger, there's still dirt from where that hoof wall hasn't been touched. So when you do the roll on this hoof, we want to make sure we don't take all the hoof wall off, but we also want to make sure we don't reduce the height. Sometimes if you roll and your rasp is too flat, you end up taking off more height than actually beveling the edge of the wall. So we've done our little roll, but we've still preserved the height that is on this foot. There's a little flare that comes out to the side of the foot here, so we're going to bring that in a whisker like this, and we'll finish that from the top. But overall, pretty healthy foot. We've got a good heel height, nice clean breakover. The walls are all pretty straight and well connected. Sole is pretty full. The sole runs all the way out to the edge. The bars are nice and short and straight. Frog could be better, but that will improve in summertime. So the trim from the top here, just to finish off, is almost not necessary with Ellie. I mean, her walls are very straight all the way around. Our trimming from the top here is to take flare out. There's a big flare out here, or bring our toe back, etc. But not a lot to be done, but we will just touch this up a little bit through here. But rasp flat to the hoof wall is very important. Very important. We don't want to be going like this with our rasp at a more vertical angle, because when we do rasp when the rasp is not flat to the hoof wall, we can often rob thickness and take away some of that support we had from underneath. So a rasp is held nice and flat to the hoof wall, and just gently bring some of that thickness back, keep it in shape. But really almost a moot point for Ellie. Her foot is in reasonable condition. Okay, so trim Ellie's back foot. Similar process to the front, minor little differences in that most horses often wear their back feet more than the front feet. You can see they're a little more worn than the fronts. The outside of her back foot is lower than the inside. Most horses wear the outside of their back feet more than the inside because of the hind limb action, because of the way the hind limb moves. So when we're trimming back feet, we just want to make sure that doesn't become exaggerated. So I'm wearing the inside down for her because she's to maintain the balance of her foot, you could say. So all my rasp is really here just to help her maintain the balance of her own feet, because she doesn't get enough movement on appropriate train, I guess you could say, to completely wear her feet down perfectly. So we step in and do that a little bit. Pretty straightforward. So notice I haven't trimmed the height off the outside of her foot. You can see where I've trimmed here, rolled this hoof wall nicely, and just renewed the roll on the outside of her foot. So this way I want to keep trying to tweak and maintain a balance back that way. Bars don't need any attention. Heels, this heel doesn't need any attention. It's nice and balanced. Frog might just take that piece of frog off there, but again, warm weather will see them improve noticeably. But that's all that's needed. There's no flaring, no stretch toe. We don't need to bring this foot forward and rasp it. It is just great the way it is.